Europa Cinemas formed focus groups. Charters are going to be charters on two topics: green sustainability. I'm not going to talk about that charter today. And the other one who was gender balance and diversity, and in these topics, of course, meant also accessibility. The most important thing about the way those charters were prepared was that it was really important that all the different parts, regions, countries of Europe were represented in those focus groups, that different types of cinemas were represented, because we have members that work in commercial cinemas, we have members who have art house cinemas, city cinemas, small town, local cultural institutions who work like theaters as well, but also have a screening room. So it's really important that all types of cinemas were included. And of course, they are in different stages of development, in the sense that they have difficulties doing even the basic stuff, and some of them are really advanced and they are having like a lot of means to, for instance, be totally green. They don't have any, their zero emission is their goal, and it's achievable in 2 years, for instance. And in some countries, they don't even have a waste bin baskets because people still don't recycle. So we focused on core principles and objectives. The most important thing was, let's not just do something that will be on a paper and then people will struggle how to achieve those goals. Let's do it in a way that it's really useful. It should be really short, and it has to help cinemas to go step by step what to do. So the core objective was, of course, to turn these ideas, these words that charters will represent, into action. It has to be meaningful. It's not like it's not a cultural political thing. We are not now going to be accessible. Let's make charters and we will publish them. And now we've done everything that has to be done. So also important goal was also not to create extra work for the cinemas. How to do it in a meaningful way so that it helps cinemas, not to burden them, to make them worry when we're going to achieve those goals. It's like we don't have numbers. It was done after the pandemic. So all the cinemas were still, some of them more, some less, struggling after the audiences after the pandemic. So let's not overburden them with, they were very fearful how we have to bring them back, and now we have to think about all those issues as well. We have to be now like an activist, we have to work for environment, we have so many tasks now, we have to do it for that as well. So how to do it in a way that would stimulate them, not to burden them. The charters themselves, I'm not going to go in details about them, because each charter is on 2 pages. It's really short, it's condensed, it's published on the Europa Cinema's website, so you can see it how it is. But the goal was to do a really short document. It's like a statement what Europa Cinema's members stand for regarding those topics. And they are included like a guidelines for all the members to sign. If you are a member of Europa Cinemas, you sign up to those, let's say, ideas and those goals. But there is no pressure when, how soon you have to meet any type of goals. It's like you set your own goals based on your specific cinema. So I will just, I will not talk about the green sustainability, because it's, these are I'm not going to go and read them all. These are the 10 basic statements Europa Cinema members agreed that are the basic for gender balance, diversity, inclusivity, and accessibility. Those are big words, and not all of them are written in the title of the charter, but those are those 10 things that focus group thought that can unite all the members, that they are not like let's say, this is like the common, the lowest nominator that we all agree on. This is like a basic, those are basics for the things that we all agree in Europa Cinemas. So this is all well, and like I said, it's written, but how to turn those principles in actions? So we prepared those 3 steps. Each task must feel achievable and relevant to local realities. I talked about it before. Don't do and find tasks or goals that you know it's going to be really hard for you to achieve. Start with small things. It can be tiniest thing. So, but set your objectives to be so that they are very clear. Methodology has to be, let's say, transparent, and results preferably should be shareable, because the network, Europa Cinema network, the strongest thing that Europa Cinemas has is that anything that a member finds out can be shared among other members. There is a lot of, let's say, networking, there are a lot of labs that you can get those knowledge from other cinemas. It's really very important that the results can be shareable so that other cinemas learn from your mistakes usually, but mistakes are really useful. All the work needs to be carried out with sustainable resources and within the realistic time scale and budgets available, which means basically, as I said, it's similar to the principle number 1. Don't overburden yourself, because the basic goal of the cinema hasn't changed. This is just change the way how you approach your regular activity. So we've created 7-step approach. I will not read them all, but it helps you think about things that you are already doing and what are the smallest changes that you can start with them. Find things that you are not good at, the things that you know that you are not good at. And the most important thing that we found out in the focus group was, of course, ask the people that you are working with. They have a lot of ideas what can be done, and they are very observant. And also the audiences are very cooperative in this area. They know a lot. They're the best, let's say, people to be working with. So to be really specific, we prepared also action blocks with key questions. 3 most important questions are: how can I improve content diversity? Okay. How can I improve my business diversity? Because we also, as I've said, there are also a lot of commercial cinemas in Europa Cinemas network, who some of them have, let's say, problems, or they don't really understand why they should be dealing with social topics on top of totally commercial business. It's not their, let's say, business plan to be also thinking about social issues and inclusivity and stuff like that. It's like here's a film, come and see it. So can you stimulate those cinemas to think that it's good for the business as well, because it attracts people's awareness, and people who especially young audiences, they are very aware of those topics. And if you are a cinema who is aware of those questions, and you're sensitive to those audiences, you attract audiences to your cinema as well. And then, how can I improve my audience diversity? I will not go through all those questions. I think that the most important thing that preparing those charters, let's say, what were the biggest lessons that we got from preparing those charters, was that cinemas around Europe are so different that you really cannot make any specific requirements, rules, labels, any type of categories pre-described for cinemas what they have to do. because you can turn those cinemas away from those topics. You can, just push them away because it's too much hard work. If you prepare those, it has to be like a task. So we were very careful not to develop any type of labels. For instance, this is like a green cinema. It has like a 3 stars, and this is gender balance, very, let's say, sensitive cinema. You get 4 stars, because it's like it's not really, let's say, it's a death for motivation if you start rating success dealing with these topics. The best thing is go with your own pace, go with your own knowledge of your audiences, and start from there. Start from the audiences and build up back. So audience, your cinema staff, people who you are working it with, and then build with the help of those charters what you're going to be doing in next, first by small steps. So this is quickly it. And now we'll do a small choreography. I will turn my chair to the Federico, who will talk first, and he will present something really concrete, so that we go from the high theory, not really a theory, to the working trenches, no?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving the chance to present in cinema here in Trieste, which is the town when I attended university. So I'm very happy to be here, and when I've been working for many years. I've been working in accessibility since 2009, and I also had a company who produces accessible content for film, which means audio description for the blind and visually impaired, and subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. The company is based in Turin, but we work all over the world, and we work for a very small part of the market in Italy. So I decided at some point that maybe we should come up with an idea to promote a culture of accessibility here in Italy, because we all know here that there is the original law goes back to 2006 with the directive for persons with disabilities that has been implemented practically in all countries all over the world, but the effect of that implementation is rather different in different countries. If you look at the UK, everything on television is subtitled, and audio description should be done and made available for 20% of everything broadcast on TV, but television realized that there is an audience for that, and it's also a very interesting and relevant segment of the market. So there are channels that reach 40% of audio described content, while in Italy, same directive, we have 30 hours per month, possibly. So something had to be done. And so I came up with this idea. I found an artistic director for a festival, who is Angela Prudenzi, who is here. Please show yourself, Angela, because you are guilty as me with this project. And we decided that there was a time to do something, because maybe for three main reasons. First of all, there is the new European Accessibility Act that has been implemented in 2022 that requires that all content producers in putting services or products in the European markets have to make them accessible, and that will be low in 2025. So apparently, hopefully, things are going to change in terms of numbers. And there is this, opinion in all the film chains in Italy, particularly, where they think that having an audience who is actually sensory impaired, people who is blind of visually low or with low vision or deaf or hard of hearing, is actually the interest of a small group of people. It's not like that anymore. We know that 1 people in 6 after 55 live an experience of a sensory impairment at some point. Average age is growing, so those numbers are going to be, bigger and bigger. And as I said, there are countries where they understood already that this is also a significant segment of the market. It's not only a question of helping someone to satisfy a lack in the abilities of someone, but it's also a market. And also in Italy, and also in some other countries, there is legislation that requires that the producers who apply for public funding must produce accessible versions. But what happens in Italy and also in Spain, for instance, is that these versions are actually created, but the law says nothing about the distribution of those versions. So, for example, in Italy, subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing are created, audio description as well. They are being sent to the Cineteca Nazionale, but nobody knows that they exist. Nobody actually, not even the users. So, they are done actually just to tick a box to get the funding. So we thought that it was time to change something. And we came up with this idea, which is a festival with 20 films, hybrid, meaning that in some films, most of the films are available online in partnership with a platform called My Movies, very popular platform here in Italy. And we decided to have a couple of events in presence, and then those couple of events became 8 different events in 8 different towns. So I'm going to present that very quickly, and I'll be available for questions. And we didn't invent actually anything. We just put together some different technologies and some different ideas that came also for the fact that I was involved in many European projects. This one is not yet financed by Creative Europe, but my original project about accessibility was called the Fred School, and actually was supported by the Audience Development Call in 2015, many years ago. And that actually was meant to promote a culture of accessibility in secondary schools in 8 European countries in Italy, and it was rather successful, and we can make with this. So in cinema, a festival accessible to all. This is the main concept. So people with sensory disabilities can enjoy the unique experience, a special experience of participating in a film festival in an inclusive format. Accessible screenings have been done already in many countries, and not particularly regularly. But making a festival accessible, which is a unique experience, something that changed my life. I used to be a very boring, gray tax consultant in a previous life, and I attended a film festival, and I discovered that life was not there, but it's here. The fact that you can, dive into different cultures in a day, in the space of a day, and see 4 different films coming from different cinematographies. It's a unique experience that enriches you, and we think that everyone must have that opportunity, even if they are sensory impaired. And that was the original idea. And which, as I said, means allowing everyone to enjoy this unique experience, but also promoting a culture of accessibility and inclusion, because I think that the main obstacle in promoting this concept of accessibility is actually a lack of awareness in all the chain of the film industry, because, it was very difficult. We selected 20 films. It was very difficult to get them in terms of rights, but also to explain distributors and also exhibitors that accessibility is something that is useful for everyone. We push a concept of universal accessibility. We all know that subtitles are useful for people who live in a country different from their country of origin. They don't speak the language as a main language, subtitles are very helpful for them. We also know already that audio description in some countries is used normally even by people that wouldn't be interested because they don't have the ability to see. If you think of a soap opera with very small artistic content with always the same set, and we know that housewives in Australia, because there is an interesting survey that has been conducted in Australia, actually never watch it. They I don't know if they are ironing or doing something else, but anyway, they just activate the description now, and they want to know what happens. Not really that's not the correct way to see films, of course. But we know that this kind of content is now used even by people that is not really in need for having them. What does it mean to have accessible films? Means having all films with subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, and also audio description, and also all the side collateral activities of a festival, Q&As with the guests, with the director, and also, for example, we had a number of masterclass and roundtables about the importance of accessibility. All those aspects, which are, in part of a festival, should be made accessible for people who is hard of hearing. So we used live automatic transcription or re-speaking, which is a technique where you have operators that actually repeat in a clever way to voice recognition software in a way that is more effective. And depending on the importance of the meeting, of the talk, we use completely automatic system or re-speaking. And as I said, the format was hybrid, in person in 8 different countries, and online with my movies. The last event in presence will be here in Trieste on Wednesday, and the film will remain available on my movies until the end of February. And just to give you an idea of the film we selected, these are the films that we showed in cinemas, and these are the films of my movies. Some are the same ones, some are different. But when you negotiate rights, in some cases the online rights have been sold already to other platforms, so we couldn't have them on my movies. So most of them are also available online, but some of them are different. And what else? Here you have an idea of all the different cities we touched. We travel all over Italy in a way, from Florence to Lecce to Rome to Udine, where we had the main event, 3 days event, Turin, Milan, Bologna, and Trieste. And subtitles were available on the image. We created DCP version files to be shown together with the DCP, and audio description was available using a second screen application. There are a number of ones. We use ear catch, and Great and Starks is possibly the most popular one. The historic one is and I'm not going to say anything about that because I know that Andreas will talk about this very, very much. And which means in a way that people with visual impairments can go to the cinema in a screening inclusive with everyone, sitting among everyone, and can download audio description on his smartphones. And then when the film starts, the app synchronizes automatically the audio description, and they could hear using their headphones, in a screening with every kind of people, because what really happens sometimes still is that they think of accessible screenings as something dedicated to people with disabilities, but that's not the point. And that's not the point of having a festival which is accessible. Definitely, we created this event in a way to promote accessibility and also to let people, users and exhibitors as well, how accessible screenings works. But of course, the idea is not to have many editions of this festival, but possibly to have all the festivals actually including accessible screenings. It is not going to be easy in the beginning. They may have 2, 5 screenings, possibly 10 screenings the next year, and at some point reach, a point where everything is accessible, because it's a question of culture. Of course, making a film festival accessible is very complicated, particularly if we think of a big festival where films are often international premieres. Is just getting the materials to create accessible features is a titanic enterprise. It can be very difficult, but because it's a question of culture. I think that in 2024, if someone can enjoy the magic of a film because accessibility is not available, that's discrimination or inequality, pure and simple. So we have to do something to do that. Just to give you an idea of all the different stakeholders we involve, we of course talked and reached the users association. That's important because these people is not really used to go to the cinema, so we wanted to have them attending the screenings in the theater, but also to follow the films on my movies. We involved the local institutions, some of them, particularly Comune di Udine and some banks gave us some money. And secondary schools were involved as well. We created events with students of secondary schools just to show how accessible screening works, and also to let them know that in accessibility there are actually professional, new professions in a way. We're talking about accessibility coordinator. I'm sure you heard about it. We are not talking only of intimacy coordinator, but also of having someone on set that can let the different people on the set to understand that they are free to make their choice, but some choices anyway can cut out a part of their audience. So that was one. The other point, of course, we discussed a lot with producers and distributors and film directors. But all the directors that we invited were very surprised and very happy, very available to promote also the project. Of course, the way the industry works right now, we all know translation and accessibility comes at the end of the line when that's relegated to the distribution phase. Possibly the filmmakers don't even know how it works. They don't know how films are received by foreign audiences, even if we know that more than 50% of the revenue coming from the films come from audiences that receive and experience that film in a language that is different from the original one. So I think this was a first version, a first edition, and as I said, we hope to share our expertise, because we made, even in few months, we made a large expertise. We have to overcome a lot of barriers and problems with distributors, but in the end, we're very happy. And of course, it's very difficult to get people with disabilities in cinemas. So the collaboration with the associations, the users association, I think is particularly important. Thank you.
Thank you, Federico. Mark your questions for after the presentations, and he will answer everything. They just did the first major thing, which is just get it done and then improve. No? Next is Andres. He is gonna talk about how to do it from the, just how to do an app that solves all the problems.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, also welcome from my side, and thank you very much, Trieste Film Festival and also Creative Europe Media to having us here in Trieste. We are very happy. So we developed an app for audio descriptions and subtitles 10 years ago, and the app is called Greta. I'm the co-founder of this project. And we did this because before 10 years, there was no really good solution, especially in the German-speaking countries where we started. There was no solution. So there were 3 cinemas out of 1,650 cinemas with a hardware-based solution. That's the alternative. you can buy in the cinema hardware solution. It's really expensive and needs a lot of maintenance. And because of that, nobody did it in Germany, for example. And then we researched on it, and then we have the idea, maybe we can solve the problem with an app. Then we started to develop it, and we bring it to the market also with the help of media. And then, yeah, then the journey starts. And now I present you the solution. So it works mainly like Federico said, also the other app, and to say now after 10 years we have more competitors worldwide, and that's also a good thing, because that also shows that accessibility is relevant and it's a market. So when you have no competitors after 10 years, I think then it's not really relevant product. And for that, it's really good that all over the world a project starts and try to do the same or do the same. Yes. And the good thing on this app is it works, as Federico also said, also with the sound recognition software. And for the cinemas, it's really good that they have nothing to do with the whole technique. So our customers, let's say, are right holders, producers, distributors, and we talk to them and they give us the content and pay us to make the content available. And after making the content available, it works everywhere, in every cinema, at all the time, without internet connection, without nothing. So for that, it's a really easy solution for everybody, for the users. They are completely independent and free in the decision when they want to see a film with audio description or subtitles, where. And for the cinemas, it's also very good. So I say they have nothing to do from the technical side, but cinemas are our partners for communication. So I just want to start with all this information because I go to the app and show you what the app can do in the cinema and also at home. So yeah, that's how the app looks. And we started with audio description and closed caption before 10 years. That was the first thing we did. And then we implemented new products, and we constantly thinking about how we can bring more people to the cinema and we can give more access with more products. And for that, we have now 4 barrier-free products we can offer with the app. It's audio description for the blind people, it's closed caption, sound amplification, and also sign language videos for deaf and hearing impaired people. And especially the sound amplification is a really good working product, because we play in this product the dialogue stems of a film, so existing material. You don't have to produce something special. You just take the dialogue stems, play it very synchronously, and people with hearing aids, for example, they can stream it directly from the smartphone to the hearing aids, and they understand better what happens on the film. And yeah, so now we have already 4 products. Sign language videos we implemented because there was a law, or there is a new law since last year in Brazil, for example. They have a really hard law in the country. So all films in cinema needs audio description, closed captions, and sign language videos. So we developed this product too, and now we can do it worldwide, but we have mostly no content. So if somebody is interested to create content for cinema in Europe, then that would be really great. So then we think about how we can bring even more people to the cinema, and we also developed before 2 years a new solution, and it's about multilingual cinema. So in Germany, or also in other big countries like Italy or France, most of the films are dubbed. So they played in German or in French or in Italian. And we play with the app Greta also English original versions and other dubbing versions from other countries. So for example, we made last year also Barbie accessible in Ukrainian language, in Spanish language, Turkish language, and in English original version in the German cinemas, and we can also offer subtitles in different languages. We have another product, it's Films to Go, but it's also, it's the combination of a film soundtrack in combination with the audio description, and the idea was the same. It builds something like an audio book, but it's an audio film with the original film sound, and we just want to give added value to the right owners, so they can use the audio description really in every stage, in festivals, in cinemas, at home entertainment, and later on also as an audio film, they can sell the content. So we want to be really an app with all products for all cases, as you can see. And yeah, we also think that accessibility is really a win-win-win situation for everybody. So more audience for distributors and cinemas, more fun for people, more inclusivity and accessibility for everybody. And also the groups are in every country not that big maybe, but mostly they are bigger than you think. So in Germany, for example, we address 8 million people. It's not only deaf and blind, it's also low vision people or hearing impaired people. 8 million people from 80 million, it's almost 10%. And it's not that big as we think. And we also think that's really an opportunity from business side. So I go really quick through the products again. So we have these 4 products I want to show you. It's accessibility with this audio description, closed caption, sound amplification, sign language. It's the multilingual way so that you can go to the cinema and just choose your language. At home, you can do it already on streaming platforms. Why not on the cinema? So it works really good and really easy. And yeah, we just started with it, but I think it's really interesting product. We have this Films to Go product. And in the backend side, that's also very interesting for right owners, for distributors. We have our backend, and we give real-time analytics to all the distributors, to all customers, so they can really see who is, not who really who, but who as a group uses the audio descriptions, where do they use it, how successful is it, and they can also control by themselves the whole films and all the versions, and just by some clicks they can give access to other territories, for example, and they have really the full control there. So for us, it's really important also to have this tool for the industry, because we think that's not only a technical solution, it's really also a marketing tool, and they don't only do accessibility, they really see in real time how successful it is, and that it is really a business. Yeah, so that's our database and our backend. So you have all the contents. Maybe when you're a right owner or a producing company or a distributor, you have all these contents, you upload it once, and then you just decide where you want to make it accessible. It starts in festivals, then go to cinemas. If you want, you can do it also in home entertainment, television with our app, or Films to Go. Security is really important for us, because when we started 10 years ago, also because of law, because there is a law in Germany too, the same like in Italy, that local productions with funding, they need to produce barrier-free versions. And because of this, we had in the beginning only German films in the app. And then our users were very unhappy, because they said, we also want to see James Bond, or we also want to see the big blockbusters. And we started working with the major studios, and they do really a lot, not because of law, but because they really believe in it. And for them, we had to do a lot of security stuff, of encryption and everything. We had a lot of security audits, and we are also trusted partner network. But that's really important. So to really give all the films to the people, and not only these films or these films. So we really want to have a really attractive film list in the app for the people. Yeah, that's our partners. That's some of the films. And in the last 10 years, we make over 600,000 admissions in the German-speaking countries. We also started working now last year in Brazil. We're working in Ukraine, started in France, in Israel. Yeah, in Switzerland, Austria, of course. So in many countries, and we really want to work in more countries. We also work with festivals. That's very important, and because we really love cinema, that's our main field, and I think everything begins at film festivals, and that's really cool that film festivals are very open to do it and work with us. And on the next slide, I want to show you.
It's enough time. Yeah.
It's enough time.
You have 5 minutes more.
Okay, great. On the next slides, I will show you 3 special projects, just to show you what's possible or what other people do. That's one thing, for example, is the European Auto Film Tour that's currently running. It's a really big thing, because they show six outdoor adventure films all over Europe, in certain countries, in 100 events, in 100 different cinemas all over Europe. And they did all the content barrier-free in German and English, audio description and closed caption, and additionally also with 5 additional languages, all over the app, and that's really successful. So the event is really successful. It's really full booked all the time, everywhere, and yeah, we are very happy to do this. It's really fun to see people there, and also to see blind people in the hall with all the other peoples, and it's a really good experience and a really good event in the cinemas. Another thing is open air cinema, of course, because with the app, as I said, it works everywhere where the film is playing, so it works also open air cinema. We had another project, so we have a lot of open air cinemas, because when a film is in the app, then it works everywhere, also in the open air cinema. But this open air cinema in Tübingen in Germany was special because they really looked for films with accessibility when they do the program. So they have 38 films over the summer last year, and they want to have 50% of the program barrier-free. It's not 100, Federico. 100% is amazing. They have 19 films accessible, and additionally, they also did 7 films with English original version for expats and tourists and other people, and also 2 films which were played in English. They did it with a German dubbing through the app. So a lot of possibilities, and that was also really successful because they also make a big campaign to it and say we are really accessible. Yes, and Doc Leipzig, maybe you know this too. It's in Germany a very active festival since years. We work together, and they are really open, and it was one of the first festival who did accessibility in that really case. They did in 2016 over 30 films, doc films, accessible. They also do a multilingual film program, so that means they play subtitles in different languages through the app, so everybody can access the screenings. And they also have, that's also very interesting, they have public screenings at the train station in Leipzig that looks like this. I hope you can see, yes. That's really public screening in the train station, and even this, it's barrier-free, accessible. And so they want to have the contact with the people in Leipzig, and they do these screenings for free and barrier-free, so it's really for everyone. That's a really cool project. Yes, and that's almost the end of my presentation. I just want to say for the end, so that accessibility, it's really a business, it's really important, but it's also really fun. When you start with it, you will see people are very happy in the cinema. It's really inspiring to have these people there. And yeah, it's really important for the people not only to see the film, but also to be part of the community in the cinema, to talk about the films. Yeah, to be really in the center of everything. And yeah, for that it's really fun part, and I hope you're inspired a little bit now for accessibility. So that's Senite, it's the founder and me, and we hope you get in touch with us if you have any questions, and thank you very much.
I'm sure there will be a lot of business cards exchanges later in the next room. So now it's the final presentation by Živa Jurancic from Kinodor. The topic is going to be content accessibility.
Hi, also from my side, from Kinodor. Mitka is also the manager of Kinodor, so she's my boss. I have to do really well right now. Yeah, I'll talk about a little bit about different things, but I think that also accessibility has different aspects. I won't be talking so much about business and technical solutions, but I'll try to focus more on how to design programs, how to approach different target groups, because I think you can be more or less accessible. Also, how you schedule your program, how you use your content, how you address different kind of target groups. And I'm going to start with a brief introduction to Kinodvor, outlining some of the basic principles that underpin all our programs. And then I'm going to use one or maybe two, if we'll have enough time, specific examples to illustrate how this principle work in practice. So let's start with brief introduction to Kinodvor. We are a public institution established and funded by the city of Ljubljana. We have a special mission as a public institution. We provide access to quality, diverse film programming for the widest possible audience of all generations. We nurture and develop cinema-going habits. We still believe, after the pandemic, maybe even stronger, that the cinema experience is an integral part of the film culture. And we promote a vibrant and inclusive film culture in our community. Community is one of the words that I'll be using a lot. So we are building a bridge between quality films, the cinema, and the audience. We have access to quality films, we have the cinema, but what we need is to keep looking for ways how to bring the audience into this equation. So when we design our programs, we want to understand the needs, the interests, habits, values, and lifestyles of different target groups that we are addressing. We want to understand why, when, and how people go to cinema or don't go to cinema in order to make the cinema more accessible. So when we design our special programs, we need to know who we are doing it for, when, and how. And there are many ways how to get these answers, but maybe one of the most precious one is building partnerships with different organizations. So with our partners, we learn more, and we are also able to reach further into the community. All our programs are based on this principle. I'll just name a few to give you an idea. First Timers is our program for 3+. It includes short films. It happens on Saturday mornings, which is the best time for young families. And it is based on playfulness, because play is the essential way of children being in this world and exploring the world. Kino Trip is our program for 15+. We include coming-of-age themes, we have a festival and a film club, and the main method how we do it is co-creation of the program of the festival, because in teenage years is making your own decisions about your own life. It's one of the most important things. Kino Babies are our program for parents with babies. It happens every first Wednesday in the month at 1 p.m. We include titles from our regular program as they want to be in touch with what is happening in the society. The screening has a lower sound, maybe a little bit of light, so the parents can feed their babies and walk around the hall. And I'm going to stop for a moment at the next program, which is a Rendezvous with Coffee and Talk, and present you a little bit more our special program for seniors to illustrate even more how we design our programs for special target groups. We know that seniors come to our cinema also as part of our regular program. However, with the special subscription program, we have tried to respond to certain needs of a period of life in which people are no longer working, when they are retired. And so how did we incorporate the identified needs into our program? So we realized that preferred time of day for seniors to go to the cinema is in the morning, when there is daylight, when there is public transport is very frequent, they have free time. So the program includes early screenings. We have 10 screenings during the season from October to June at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. For this target group, also socializing and still being part of the community is very, very valuable. Therefore, we serve free coffee and tea before the screening and invite our visitors to just hang around in our cafe, meet old friends, make new ones. The second need or characteristic that we identified and also learned during the years of making the program is that seniors have a wide range of interests. So they're interested in different cultures, relationships, history, different film styles and genres. They don't want to see only films about how to get old. That was one of the really main lessons learned, because usually, I mean, a lot of times we just assume about different target groups, but it's really good to listen carefully and be in dialogue. So that was one of the lessons learned. So the films we show are very varied, from animation to dramas, and cover a wide range of genres and themes. And we invite also experts from a variety of fields to be our guests. At this time of life, many people also value predictability and regular routines. So this is the program for the whole season with guests is announced in advance. And you have to know that this is the only subscription program that we do. The reason behind it is very practical. We have only one screen with 188 seats. So we have to be very flexible when doing the schedule. So we schedule only for 10 days in advance for most of the program. But for the seniors, we do the subscription program. It announced for the whole year in advance. I was mentioning partnerships. My slides are not really coherent with my talking, but I hope you can follow anyway. Our main partners are the Slovenian Third Age University, libraries, and local day centers. Some of them helped us to design the program, and now they're helping us to promote the program, but the best promoters are our members, bringing their relatives and friends to the cinema. The program sold out very early. We started with only one screening, the one at 10 a.m., and then we added the one at 3 p.m. To meet the high demand. And the membership dropped by about a third during the COVID pandemic, as seniors were reluctant to visit cultural institutions. So to ensure access also during that time, we offer them the option of online screenings, which we continue to do even now, although we are back to pre-COVID numbers. The reason for this is that seniors may feel uncomfortable to leave their home during the winter months. So just a few people choose this option now. Most of them prefer to come to the cinema, but from an accessibility point of view, we still feel that it's very important to still offer this option. But we know that this is not the only obstacle to go to the cinema. Hearing loss can also be a problem for elderly people. So this year we are starting a new project in direction that was presented before. With additional funding from the Ministry of Culture, we will provide subtitles or captions for conversations with guests. And as a pilot project, we will extend this service with a sign language interpreter, making our program accessible also to deaf people. We know age-relating hearing loss is not the same as being deaf, but this project will offer us anyway the opportunity to also look at how we can incorporate this service into our regular program, because we are very well aware that separating different groups is not really being inclusive. We will do this in close partnership with the Association of Deaf and Hard of Hearing Clubs to really meet the needs of the community. We don't want to assume how and when and in what kind of way should we do it. It's going to be done together with them in a dialogue. Do I have time for film in hospitals? Yeah, perfect. But we know that not everybody... But we know that not everybody can come to our cinema. That is why we also go beyond our walls with different technical solutions. And one example of this is the International Film in a Hospital project. It is done with the support of the Creative Europe program, and it's 6 countries are doing this project. Project is Belgium, Croatia, Italy, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. And we manage an online platform with more than 60 quality films, long and short, with additional activities for different age groups. and the platform is being used by children and teenagers in Slovenia in 5 different hospitals in and around Ljubljana. So children and teenagers have free access to this platform with a special code that we distribute with the help of hospitals, teachers in kindergarten and schools. Because when we enter the everyday life of the hospital, we enter the whole new world. Everything is different there. If we are good at making a film education and film program in the cinema, we didn't know anything about how to make that in hospital. The needs and routines of children, young people, parents, medical staff, school staff that is working in hospital is really, really specific. And in addition to that, we cannot be in direct contact with children and teenagers and with parents because we just cannot be there. Also because they are a really vulnerable group. So this is why we need a very strong partnership, even more than maybe in the case of senior people. So we need a relationship with the people who work there. Unfortunately, we haven't managed yet to establish partnership with the medical staff. But luckily, we have a really strong relationship with, I mentioned before, teachers from kindergarten and school that works in the hospital. So with them, we have an ongoing dialogue. We get valuable feedback on how we can meet the needs of the children and young people, how can we support them in their daily life, and how we can add value to the hospital education process. And through their feedback, we now know that the platform is particularly valuable during the first few days of hospitalization, when children and young people are often tired from the initial medical exams, and the platform provides a pleasant distraction and entertainment, maybe like a relaxation. But we even see a greater potential because film is not just something to entertain. It can help reduce anxiety. It can affect mental health of children and teens in hospitals. It can also facilitate the communication between children, the young patients, and the medical staff. So there are a lot of potential still there for this project that we would like to explore in the future. So I'll wrap up. So we are a public institution committed to providing access. When we think about access, we always think about specific groups. We want to understand the specific needs and conditions of different groups. And based on this understanding, we design different programs. And we do this through open dialogue and strong partnership. So thank you.
So here we are, better than Japanese people, on time, better than Japanese trains. So now it's up to you. It's a Q&A time. Do you maybe already prepare some questions? No? Okay.
Yeah, Nicholas Megaphone today. I would like to ask you, Mr. Schuba,
Yes.
I didn't quite understand the films you get. How is with the author rights? Is it you specially make an agreement with the festival and then you decide for these films? And another question, does this AD for you? Because, for example, we come from Slovenia, we have quite a difficult language, especially with the endings, and the AI for Slovene language is not that good so far. So I'm wondering whether real people are recording the AD or the AI.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we.
Oh, it's not switched on. No.
To switch off the other.
The second from the right.
Okay, now it works. So yeah, we not produce any content by ourselves. So we only use the content that the film distribution companies or production companies produce. And currently it's all produced really by humans. So yeah, everything is with the real voice, everything is real done by people. And and we do it, we become the files from the distributors and they pay us to do it, and we have contracts with them to do it for this territory or this territory. So we don't create any content. We are researching a lot of AI, of course, because I think AI will change a lot in content creation, but that's not our part. That speech to text and that translation and everything is really interesting to reduce the costs on the production of the contents. But still, people, especially for audio description, they really want to have real voices for now. I think with the synthetic voices, it becomes better and better, and I think that will change soon. But for now, everything is really, really done by people. And what was the other question?
How is with the author rights? But you already answered that.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
You had a question?
I have a question for Nico. I want to know the response of the audience screening you organized with the cinema. Was it difficult to involve people that maybe are not used to go to the cinema?
Okay, thank you for your question, and give me just this opportunity because I forgot to say something before. One of the stakeholders we involved are festivals, and one of those festivals are the Trieste Film Festival, and they were one of the first that really, actually, when we were just thinking about the project, Nicoletta was the first one to say, I mean, I want to be involved in this, and so the first thing we decided was that we were going to close the event in Trieste here. So sorry, Nicoletta.
Don't forget to thank
And about the response, it was very enthusiastic and moving sometimes, because seeing people attending a screening that actually maybe became visually impaired at certain point. Most of the people actually are, you know, blind people is not big numbers. Really big numbers is actually people who actually have low vision, but they are visually impaired, and they become visually impaired at a certain point in their lives. Maybe some people, one of the most moving experiences was meeting people that became blind at 24 or 25. They couldn't go to the cinema for ages. Now they are in their 60s. And that was really moving. So they were very enthusiastic, and you realize that it's really the effort you do for this is a small thing. It's a question of culture, as I said before. Of course, the cost of the accessible features is very low if you think of the whole cost of a film production. We are talking about 0.5% of the cost. So it's something that should become normal, let's say. And also people with hearing impairment, about deaf people, there are some that prefer sign language, some that prefer subtitles. We push subtitles because we think it's a solution that is much more universal. But so we, for the moment, we didn't include sign language, even if I was very curious to understand from Andres how they distribute sign language through their app. So maybe that's a question for you. But blind people, even if they are not really used to read subtitles, sometimes they were very positive also about the solution of having automatic live transcription for the Q&As, for example. Now there are some free systems that are very reliable. Of course, it's not like having a professional doing that professionally on the spot, but AI, gave a strong contribution. One of the good, sometimes we are struck and we say, my God, what's happening with the AI? I don't know about the future. But sometimes something is really good, and live transcription really evolved in the last couple of years enormously. So it's very easy, and they were very happy. The problem is that letting them know, we should think of a way to let them know where film are accessible and how they could reach them. And because what really happens right now is that the same film can be made accessible by different organizations that they don't even know.
Some other questions, maybe? No? Then I have a question. um, when you started preparing the festival, what was the thing that you think would be the hardest thing to do, and maybe surprised you because it wasn't, or what are the lessons that you learned preparing it that could be useful to others here?
Well, I wasn't expecting difficulties in getting the films. I thought it was easier to let all right owners or distributors that having an accessible screening was a good thing, and they could possibly give the films for a discounted fee. That almost never happened, and even if we decided to have free screenings, and because the idea was to make them accessible to everyone, it's something that we do to promote accessibility, and we don't want to have people paying a ticket. We wouldn't go on possibly in that with that choice right now, because sometimes having free events in a way dequalify the quality of the event. So I think that it's better maybe to have possibly reduced tickets, but not really free. Also because the idea was that we got everything free, which was not the reality. We paid for the films just to have the more people attending, but in reality, I don't think that made a difference. And something that
Which means that in addition to make the audience aware that these programs are available, a big deal is going to be to talk with distributors to be aware that this is going to be a requirements, and that now it's like they are pilot projects, but in the future it's going to be required by law. So we have to educate the distributors as well.
Yeah, and the exhibitors as well, I think, because the problem is that they think they don't want to have subtitles, because they say, well, people don't want to, particularly in Italy, when, they still think, even if it's not like that anymore, they still think that people is not used to read subtitles, even if we know that the generations that 70 use subtitles by 70%, even if they're not really needed them. So, yeah, we need training to distributors and exhibitors, because we know that after 3 minutes, even if we don't read subtitles, we don't really see them anymore. So it's a question of habit.
Andres, I was wondering, what do you think that was, I mean, it probably still is it hardest to persuade the exhibitors to invest in the apps, or the producers, the film industry, or each of them?
So it's also a good question, and I think it's really, as Federico said, so beginning it was hard, for everybody. So nobody understands why we did it, and then the law is coming, and then it becomes easier, but still nobody knows exactly how it works, I think. So we talk most with the distributors because of the business, and we have the contract with them because of the rights and everything. And the cinemas were very happy, because for them, in our business model, it's a free solution. So it works in every cinema. They have nothing to do. And with the cinemas, it was very good from the beginning. So they were very happy, but it's not top of the list of the cinemas, of course. They have their daily business. They have a lot of things to do. It's not top of the list, but it was always very good cooperation. And we have a model, we're working with partner cinemas. It's like a program. We give them material they can use on social media, or also on the artworks in cinema, and a lot of them uses it, and not all, but a lot of them, and I think it's really good. But everybody has to learn a lot.
And what was the motive for you to start it 10 years ago?
What was that?
What was the motive for you to start it? It was like, we have to do something about it, or I mean, this is like maybe too personal question, but it's like 10 years ago. It's we're talking about it now as, let's do something, and you started 10 years ago. So
Yeah, that's interesting question because that was the idea of the app, and everything comes from the founder of our company, from Senai. She had the idea because she produced a movie about a blind runner, and then she had the idea because she talked to this young girl, let's say 80 years or 90 years old young woman, and she talked about everything, about sports. She was training for the Olympic Games, and then she talked with her, and she said she do everything. She go in clubs with friends. She go to the city. Then I asked her, you go to the cinema too? And she said, no, to cinema I don't go because it's not possible. I really want to go, but it's not possible. And then, so that's how the idea starts. And then I had the idea, goes to the film festival, and then before was a film distributor with their own company, and she worked for other film distributing companies, and me too. I was working in film distributing sector, and then I met Senna at Locarno Film Festival, and she came with this idea, and it was inspiring for me. It was wow. I think, okay, combination of film. I love film. I love to do something really interesting, new, good. App was really new in that time for me, and yeah, then we started it, and it was really cool to do it.
And you will save a lot of cinemas, a lot of time and work and means as well, if you already did it. So.
And it's really fun.
Yeah. And Jiva, which is slightly unusual to talk to Jiva in English. Yeah, but today we were talking all the time about accessibility. Like 5 years ago, when everybody said accessibility, everybody thought about, how you can physically get to the cinema. And now this is like no problem at all. It's like a norm. You have to be physically, space has to be accessible. But we have a cinema which is in the building that is 100 years old, which means that we can do only as much to make it accessible physically. That's why we do so much for other types of accessibility. And you presented two projects that we are doing now. But can you maybe talk about how important it is that when you presented, for instance, our Kino Trip program, how important it is that it's not the cinema who prepares the content, that cinema is the one who thinks everything and solves the problems, but how important it is that the people that are coming to the cinema are the ones that are telling us what to do. I already said everything.
Yeah, I think it's important for all the groups, but maybe for Kino Trip, for teenagers, it's even more important. As I said before, that it's really important for them in that period of life to make their own decisions. So Kino Trip, it's a little bit different than other programs because Kino Trip is actually a platform for them. So they select. We do the festival from A to Z. So they select the films. We make a broader selection, but then they select the films. They present. They write the booklet. They do the promotion. Yeah, but it's always in the synergy between us, who are the professionals and have access to infrastructure and films, and them who have this huge motivation and love to film. So being inclusive and accessible, I think it's also not just giving access to the content that is already made, but it's the democracy happens also when doing the content. So I think it's really, really important, especially for teenagers. So yeah.
Yeah, everybody who works in cinema knows that getting 15 plus up to, let's say, 25, it's a very difficult age group. That's why I think that when I say to get access to teenagers, it's like the heaven opens if you reach them. That's why we include teenagers as accessibility programs in reality. That's why I'm asking. Any other questions? You are very quiet and shy.
Maybe I have a question for Andres. Do you also collaborate with streamers? Because in your presentation you mentioned that Greta is for cinema, but also TV. So, for instance, video on demand streaming platform
Mm-hmm.
can also use, I mean, the Greta, or they have their own system to be accessible to.
Yes. So when a film is accessible with the app, then it's also automatically accessible also on streaming platforms. So that works. That works. Sometimes it's a special version we develop for Disney, for example. For Disney Plus, we have special versions in the app. That works more or less automatically. But we collaborate with Netflix, but only for the cinemas, because sometimes they bring new films first to the cinema, luckily, and for these screenings we make all the films accessible for them. Yes, but for the streaming platforms, usually they use their own channels. You can choose the audio description on the TV. And, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add something to address? I think something from Sylvia's question. Does Greta work on with different frame rate? So if you create audio description for a specific film, for example, and then the same thing goes with another frame rate of the platform from the cinema, for example, can you use the same version?
That's a good question. That's not so easy. So for now we have kind of old school model, because we have in the app different sections. We have cinema section, we have DVD, Blu-ray, and streaming section, and you have to choose the correct version. So technically it is possible. Our developers know how to do, but we didn't realize that. But yeah, for now you have to choose the version you want. But it's not automatically that the app recognizes it's 2024 or 25. But I think we will have it in the future.
Any other questions? You're very quiet. Okay. It's like we paid you to ask questions.
I have a question for Siva. So I want to know how you know the habits of your audience in order to structure your several projects to present. I mean, perhaps do you use a survey questionnaire or just observing over time your audience?
It really depends on a group, actually. I mean, there are different ways. You can also just informally talk to visitors, or just being at on an event, so you see how the audience reacts to different kind of content. We sometimes do surveys. We also did some focus groups. And for example, for the Kino trip, each year we have a new generation making a film festival. So each year we have a new focus group. And we talk to them and we discuss about films they want to choose, how they want to do it, what are the way to promote it to their peers. So they are really like our consultants, like it's an ongoing dialogue. So it really depends on a target group. Yeah. But I also think it's about, maybe I can go a little bit back. It's also about a community, I think. In our cinema, that's really, really important. So when you're making access, it's also, like making a community of film lovers and cinema goers. So it's really also about that, like bringing people together, spending time together, sharing interests. I think that's one of the most valuable things that I would say in our cinema, when people are just coming back and saying that they really feel that they're part of the community. So yeah. Can I ask you something? Because it's really, I don't know who you are, but we won't you cannot introduce, but how many of you work for the cinema? Can you just raise hands? Distributors? Producers? Festivals? Oh, what are you? Okay. And the rest are just, I maybe missed something.
Yeah, tired festival visitors. Yeah, well, we used to be, I mean, I'm used to having really lively presentations and talks, so I don't know whether this is really bad, nobody says anything, or so.
I have a question for you. You were mentioning charters, but for example, now you ask who are here, and maybe there are some cultural organizations that are also dealing with events, maybe not just film festivals, but other events. Do you have how to start. You know, you were mentioning charters, but maybe do's and don'ts and how to start your accessibility program, or you know, like how to make your event. Like if I can use the title, how to make your event more accessible, maybe for other.
I think that all of us already said it. Start from your audience. Yeah. So for whom you are preparing this thing, whatever it is, it couldn't be. I mean, it shouldn't be just a cinema projection, or it can be really anything. So for whom you are preparing it, this is the first question. And then why you are doing it. What do you want to achieve? Is it just, you know, you have to be really honest. Do you want to, is it, I'm going to do it because, yeah, to tick a box, or I'm going to get funded for it, or whatever. Try to be as honest as you can, even if you are doing it just to get funds, because then with those funds you can do something else. Try to make it meaningful for this audience. So if you answer the question one, then the second is going to be much easier. And then find out the organizations and institutions, as Jiva said, who are dealing with these issues, to talk to them first. Because you don't want to approach your audiences, new audiences that you don't know, with some, let's say, prejudices and things that get informed first before you approach them. Otherwise, it will come across as it's not an honest thing. You really have to be honest. Even if you are doing with the funds, just be professional and get all the information about that specific group. And then then you will find out, as Federico said, it's such an appreciation of your effort comes from the different groups, that it's a joy to do those things. And it's like you know, it really is like a community, because it's nothing is more appreciated as people being able to be among other people, and to feel like, you know, I'm not going to use any other strange word, but you know, it's like I have a right to be here, and I have a right not to have special preparation to come anywhere. It's not just a cinema. So that would be my 3 steps advice. It's really easy. I think it's doable. No?